It isn't often that a single commercial sends an entire sports world spiraling into excitement, arguments, breakdowns, and wall-to-wall social media coverage. Yet somehow Caitlin Clark has done it again. When her new Nike spot dropped, only minutes after fans had finally finished dissecting her wildly effective State Farm commercial, something shifted in the atmosphere of sports marketing. It wasn't just a well-produced ad. It wasn't just another moment in her rapidly expanding brand universe. It felt like the release of a cultural event. In the span of a few seconds, viewers weren't simply praising the commercial. They were analyzing it frame by frame, replaying it in slow motion, arguing about symbolism, cheering at the transitions, and declaring that Caitlin Clark had just headlined the best sports advertisement of the year. For a rookie who hasn't even settled into her prime, that kind of impact borders on surreal. But for Caitlin Clark, nothing about this moment is accidental. For months, fans had begged Nike to promote her more boldly, to match the scale of her fanbase and the gravitational pull she now has across basketball, entertainment, and culture. They wanted to see her treated like a generational athlete, not simply another talented player. And then, almost out of nowhere, Nike delivered a piece of branding so polished and powerful that fans began calling it a Super Bowl commercial without the Super Bowl. In it, Clark appears alongside Aya Wilson, Sabrina Ionescu, Sha'Carri Richardson, and other elite women whose careers represent different corners of sport. The message is simple but electric. You will be told you can't do something, so do it anyway. You will be told you can't break records, so break them anyway. You will be told you can't stand out, so stand out effortlessly. With every line and every cut, it feels like Nike isn't merely marketing a shoe, they're issuing a manifesto. But before this new Nike ad captured the internet, the story began somewhere more familiar, with State Farm. It's easy to forget how groundbreaking that first collaboration was. Caitlin was still at Iowa, not yet a WNBA player, when she became the first NCAA athlete to headline a national State Farm commercial with Jake from State Farm. The spot didn't just go viral, it outperformed the company's usual promotional numbers, shocked brand analysts, and forced major corporations to re-evaluate what college athletes could do on camera. Caitlin Clark wasn't a player dipping her toes into sponsorships. She was a natural. She knew exactly how to deliver lines. She understood timing. She understood charm. And as soon as the ad aired, the message to brands across the country was clear. This wasn't some promising young athlete. This was someone capable of anchoring entire marketing campaigns. So the pressure began to build. Nike, already partnered with Clark, suddenly found themselves under scrutiny for not using her star power enough. Fans criticized them for staying quiet while the Caitlin Clark phenomenon exploded across the sports world. They wondered if the company understood the magnitude of the star they had. Nike even faced a separate wave of backlash from women's sports advocates who challenged them for not speaking loudly enough on issues surrounding fairness in women's athletics. The Dear Nike campaign created tension. Fans watched closely to see how Nike would respond, and how Caitlin Clark, one of their most marketable athletes, would fit into that narrative. The answer arrived in this new commercial. Nike didn't offer a soft correction or a safe concept. They went all out. They built an advertisement that felt like a declaration. They didn't place Caitlin Clark in the background, or in a supporting role, or as a quick cameo. They placed her in the center of the storm. And her performance made the energy shift instantly. One scene in particular, her eye transforming into a close-up of the Kobe Bryant Black Mamba logo, sent fans spiraling. It was symbolic, eerie, stylish, and meaningful all at once, and it carried a message that no words needed to explain. This wasn't a commercial about the present. It was a commercial about what she's becoming. But the wildest part is how fans responded. Social media didn't just celebrate the ad. Platforms flooded with edits, remixes, slow-motion breakdowns, and reactions from people who claimed they hadn't watched a WNBA game until Caitlin Clark arrived. Instagram Reels appeared within minutes. TikTok exploded with millions of loops. YouTube channels uploaded commentary videos moments after the ad dropped. Viewers said it felt like a sports movie trailer. Some declared it the best Nike commercial since classic Jordan or Kobe campaigns. And within an hour of the ad's release, Clark's new Kobe-inspired shoe sold out in under a minute. The numbers behind this moment tell the real story. Analysts estimate that Caitlin Clark now drives a massive portion of WNBA-related sales, merchandise purchases, jersey orders, and online search spikes. Whenever her name appears in a headline, whether it's a highlight, a commercial, or even a rumor, The metrics skyrocket. Ticket sales go up. Views go up. Engagement goes up. Advertisers know that she doesn't just generate attention. She shifts entire markets. That's why Nike's new commercial feels bigger than its runtime. It isn't just a marketing move. It's a statement of intent. But the Caitlin Clark phenomenon doesn't end with basketball or commercials. The timing of this Nike campaign dropped right when another storyline started gaining traction, a storyline that shocked even her critics. She stepped away from the hardwood for a moment and entered a completely different arena: golf. What happened next didn't make sense in the usual sports logic. Caitlin Clark walked into the Anaka Prom at Pelican Golf Club, and instead of being treated as a celebrity visitor or a novelty guest, she was treated like a reigning champion. Thousands of fans swarmed the practice range, screaming her name like she was a major winner. Kids wore Indiana Fever jerseys on golf fairways. Spectators leaned over the ropes the way they would for Tiger Woods. And she hadn't even hit a shot yet. Her swing surprised even the analysts. Commentators didn't approach her with the patronizing tone that celebrity golfers often receive. Instead, they studied her mechanics, noting her balance, the smoothness of her motion, the way she held her finish, the way she approached the ball with discipline instead of novelty. They recognized that this was someone who didn't just mess around with golf on the weekends. This was someone who had been putting in work, someone whose athletic DNA translated into a second sport far more naturally than anyone expected. When she drained a monster putt in front of a roaring crowd, a long, sliding, pressure-packed curve that would make seasoned pros sweat, the broadcast booth erupted. That putt went viral across platforms, shared by fans who barely understood golf but understood greatness. Then, just when the day seemed like it couldn't produce any more chaos, Sophie Cunningham stepped up and created her own viral moment by accidentally hitting a spectator with a tee shot. Fans screamed. People dropped to the ground. Sophie rushed over. The internet lit up. Lexi Hull followed with a far cleaner swing, and together the trio turned a casual prom into a comedy show, a drama reel, and a competitive showcase all at once. It was ridiculous, hilarious, chaotic, and yet in the middle of all that noise, Caitlin remained the calm center. Every time the cameras returned to her, she was focused, composed, dialed in. Then Bryson DeChambeau joined the story. Watching the footage, seeing her compete with poise, recognizing the crowd she brought, Bryson didn't just praise her. He invited her to play in his 2026 YouTuber Invitational, a massive golf event with millions of views and major prize money. It wasn't a casual invitation. This was an entry point into the world of mega-creator sports content, a space that produces tens of millions of views monthly, far more than the WNBA ever could on its own. Suddenly, Caitlin Clark wasn't just a basketball star. She was a potential crossover icon with reach into golf, entertainment, and digital media. And this is where the contrast becomes impossible to ignore. While the WNBA debates her attention, questions her popularity, and often puts her in situations where she is physically targeted or publicly scrutinized, the LPGA sees her as a blessing. They treat her like royalty. They hand her the spotlight without hesitation. They appreciate what she brings instead of fearing it. In the WNBA, she is forced to justify her stardom. In golf, she simply arrives, and the world adjusts around her. That difference matters. It matters for her brand. It matters for her health. It matters for her future. Because Caitlin Clark is more than a basketball player. She's a phenomenon, a narrative engine, a marketing force, a cultural figure whose name outgrows any single league. The LPGA understands that. Nike understands that. State Farm understood it before anyone else. And now the world is beginning to understand it too. This is why her new commercial feels like a turning point. Nike isn't just featuring Caitlin Clark. They're staking a claim on her future. They're signaling that her story isn't just about basketball. It's about influence. It's about crossover power. It's about what happens when someone breaks out of a single lane and becomes something bigger, something more expansive. An athlete whose existence reaches into multiple corners of culture simultaneously. The fan reactions say everything. People who never watched women's basketball suddenly bought jerseys. People who didn't care about Nike campaigns suddenly ranked this one among the brand's best. People who never followed the WNBA are now deep into highlight compilations. And young girls, the ones who grew up with posters of Serena Williams or Alex Morgan, now see someone new standing at the center of sports culture, not overshadowed by a male league, not shoved into the margins, but leading the conversation. That is what brands want. Someone who doesn't just appear on camera, but transforms the moment they appear. Someone whose presence shifts algorithms, sells out drops, fills stadiums, and makes people care. Someone who can carry a league, anchor a commercial, draw crowds to a golf course, and elevate an entire generation of athletes simply by being visible. And that is exactly why this commercial has fans going crazy. It isn't just about the soundtrack or the visuals. It's the emotional weight. It's the sense that Caitlin Clark represents not only her own future, but the future of women's sports marketing as a whole. It is the feeling that we are witnessing the rise of the first global superstar of women's basketball. Someone whose reach doesn't end at the court, but expands into culture, fashion, golf, entertainment, and everything in between. So now the question becomes yours. Which Caitlin Clark commercial has been your favorite so far? What brand do you want to see her partner with next? Nike, Gatorade, Wilson, or something unexpected like Apple or Netflix? Drop your thoughts, your predictions, and your dream collaborations in the comments below. And if you're still here, still riding through this deep dive into the explosiveness of Caitlin Clark's marketing empire, drop Clark commercial in the comments so I know you're one of the real ones.